Vincenzo Cassano, with a devilish expression, watches nonchalantly as a building is destroyed in a fire at his command. We quickly learn that he's an Italian mafia's lawyer and trusted consigliere. Now, hopefully, we also quickly learn what that actually means. We're then treated to a scene of handsome Vincenzo getting dressed in impeccable style, and then he's picked up and taken to a rival family head's large estate in the middle of vineyards and fields. Vincenzo is carrying out his boss's dying wish by pressuring the head of the family, Emilio, to sign a contract to give back land that he's stolen from the Cassano family. Emilio mocks Vincenzo for doing business on his boss's funeral date and calls him an uncivilized yellow. Yikes. Negotiation falls apart and Vincenzo leaves, all the while flickering a lighter menacingly in his hands. It is then Emilio and his men realize that the crop duster flying overhead isn't spraying pesticides, but instead is dousing the mansion in gas. As the epic music crescendos, Vincenzo throws the lighter he was toying with on the ground, and we see the whole house with its surrounding fields all burned to the ground, while he exits like a badass. After that, Vincenzo pays respect to his dead mafia boss, whom he loves like a father. The same night, the boss's eldest son Paolo, feeling threatened by Vincenzo's power in the family, attempts to kill him. Vincenzo fools the three goons and kills them instead, quite easily too. To punish Paolo for betraying him, Vincenzo sets off a bomb in his car and tells him that if he tries something stupid again, he will blow up his car while he is inside of it. He also tells Paolo that he's leaving Italy and warns him not to follow him. In the meantime, in Korea, Hoon Cha-yeon goes to the courthouse. She is leading the trial on behalf of Babel Pharmaceutical, who's being sued for creating harmful drugs with severe side effects that have killed a bunch of test subjects. Cha-yeon has bought herself an extra week by getting the defense's key witness to bail through, you guessed it, bribery. Outside the courthouse, we learn that her opposition is actually her father. Cha-yeon plays the family card and promises to help her father in exchange for him stopping the hopeless crusade of going against a giant like Babel Pharmaceutical. Hoon Yu-chan, the father, doesn't buy his daughter's crocodile tears at all, as he tells her to quit her job as an unethical lawyer and try acting instead. We jump back to Vincenzo's side, where he's clearing customs in Korea. As Vincenzo gets a ride into the city, he promises himself that he will finish his business in Korea in 1 month and then go to Malta. As luck would have it though, the cab driver is a crook who targets foreigners at the airport. He drugs Vincenzo's water and takes all his money and things, beats him up, and leaves him for dead out in the wilderness. Well, not for dead, I guess, since he left him some change to bus back home. Korean robbers are so considerate. But for a mafia guy, he's quite easily subdued, eh? News of Vincenzo arriving in Korea reaches the intelligence services too, and Mr. An Ki-suk runs this by his boss, saying that they have become a target for the mafia, especially if the consigliere is in the country. Mr. An wants to launch an investigation, or at least tell Vincenzo to keep an eye on him, but his boss rejects this obvious waste of government resources and tells him to chill. Eventually, Vincenzo gets to Geumga Plaza, a rundown building that he's apparently going to tear down. He must have been really pissed about being mugged, but in all seriousness, this has to do with something that took place in Milan 5 years ago. Vincenzo brokered a deal where he helped a Chinese mobster hide all his gold beneath this building in an ultra-secret room, which is protected by a complex security system that uses biometrics. Ooh. Vincenzo meets with Mr. Cho, the man he hired to buy and manage the buildings, who explains to him that Babel Enterprise wants to buy the building for development, but the tenants have formed an opposition committee to fight against it. Vincenzo decides to live in one of the rooms in the building for now in order to carry out his business in Korea, but he's very unhappy with how simple and shabby it is compared to the places that he has lived in Italy. It is a pretty big downgrade, to be fair. As he settles in, Lee Cho-wook, a resident in the building, watches from a distance and reports back to the others about the strange fancy man who just moved in. As Vincenzo takes a tour of the place with Mr. Cho, the residents work hard to scare him. He's a little amused by it all, but stays relatively unfazed. There aren't many of them remaining, and it's easy to understand why. The roof is leaking and the lights are flickering in a creepy way. He finds out that the people who rent the basement are now a bunch of meditating monks who has turned the whole place into a Buddhist temple. The monks in the basement have no idea that they're sitting on literally tons of gold. So, despite the less than welcoming greetings, Vincenzo introduces himself to the residents of Geumga Plaza. Lawyer Hong Yoo-chun, whom we have been introduced to previously, acts as kind of a rep and introduces himself to Vincenzo. His law office is apparently in the building. He learns that Vincenzo is Mr. Cho's business advisor and reminds him that Mr. Cho has promised not to sell the building or kick the residents out. The rest of the residents are a bunch of simple folks who's probably never seen a foreigner and misunderstands his last name to be Casanova and pokes fun at him a good deal for it. Unfortunately, when Vincenzo gets home, the shower doesn't work and a pigeon is sitting on the windowsill outside, making him hate the place even more. The purpose of that entire scene is to show the audience how hot he is, wet and shirtless, and I'm all for it. In a flashback, we see Vincenzo at court, where a woman who apparently abandoned her child is being sentenced for murder. She claims that the deceased, some Chairman Huang guy, sexually assaulted her and others, and she just acted in self-defense. But she's told to be quiet by her lawyer. In the present day, Vincenzo looks at the name on the court documents and notices that Hong Yoo-chun is the lawyer who has taken on the case. There he is again. We see a scene where Hong Yoo-chun visits the woman in jail. They seem to be close, while she tells him that he doesn't have to visit every month. When he tries to bring up the motion for a retrial, she dismisses it, stating that she's done some terrible things, so being imprisoned can be seen as her atonement for those actions. We don't know the relevance of this yet, but it sounds like a backstory waiting to unfold. Frustrated by all that's transpired recently, Vincenzo is looking forward to a good meal, only to find out that the so-called Italian food at Chef Toto's restaurant is absolutely disgusting. He spits the first bite into a napkin, calls Chef Toto a crook for claiming to have studied culinary in Italy, and leaves. What a jerk. The team leader for Babel's investment and development team meets with Mr. Cho and Vincenzo to discuss buying the building at a high price. When Vincenzo rebuffs his offer, saying that they have plans to demolish and rebuild, he then threatens that he and the tenants will regret it if they continue to get in his way. Vincenzo tells the Geumga Plaza tenant group that they should continue to hold out selling to Babel, and he will draw up an agreement for them to sign so that they can get their lot back when he builds a new building. Having no other options, Hong Yoo-chun encourages the tenants to put their trust in Vincenzo. However, out of earshot, he tells Vincenzo that he does not trust him for 1 second, because even though they're both lawyers, he defends people, whereas Vincenzo defends money. How does he even know that? When Mr. Cho gets home, he finds his family taken hostage by a group of gangsters. They force him to sign an agreement for the sale of the plaza to Babel. Okay, so now we know that Babel is kind of associated with a bunch of unsavory characters who likes to threaten people. The next day, Mr. Cho calls Vincenzo to apologize for failing him, saying that he had no choice since his family's safety was at stake. Suddenly, Mr. Cho's car is hit by a truck while he's on the phone. That escalated fast. At the same time, Hong Yoo-chun sends his daughter a legal letter relinquishing his rights as her father, citing ethical violations as the reason he wants to sever their father-daughter relationship. This guy is so serious. Offended by this, Hong Cha-yeon barges into his office and argues with him. Hong Yoo-chun berates his daughter for not having a sense of justice, while she calls him stuck up and naive. While this is happening, a sign is put up in the parking lot in front of the building, claiming that Babel has purchased the land. The tenants are devastated, believing that Vincenzo sold them out. Here, Park Suk-do, the CEO of Ant Company and the chairman of the development committee for Babel, shows up. He tells everyone that the building now belongs to him and the tenants should prepare to move out. Hong Yoo-chun stands up for the residents, and one of the goons that came with the CEO pushes him. Hong Cha-yeon, who's apparently still hanging around, defends her father and confronts the man fearlessly. Good for her. Just as things look like they're about to get physical, Vincenzo shows up and tells everyone to stop, introducing himself as the representative for Geumga Plaza's owner, Mr. Cho. One of the men tries to punch him, but obviously is no match. Vincenzo then punches the leader in the face and hangs him over the building window with a tape measure. How this even holds up according to laws of physics, let's not even question. He tells the goons that Babel bought the plaza through illegal means, no kidding, and he will not forgive their brutality. He vows to get the building back and make them all pay for what they did. He also tells everyone in the building that this is his property, but he says this in Italian, so hopefully someone knows how to use Google Translate. This first episode is off to such a promising start. Not only is Vincenzo's character so compelling for his badass personality, he's also just such a good-looking guy. He looks amazing in his Italian custom suits and slicked back hair, his little smirk. Anyways, I feel like they're also trying to make him not overly serious and little goofy. Does that fit the character, or is it a little awkward for a stone cold killer? What do you guys think? I'm also not quite sure yet if the female lead is going to be his love interest, and if she is, I'm pretty undecided on if she's a good enough match for him. I don't know. I guess we'll see how her character develops and if there's anything to love there. Are you shipping them yet? Let me know your first impressions of this show in the comments below. And of course, remember to subscribe so you're notified when the next episode comes out. Bye everybody!